Hello everyone. Today we're having Rovio's new CEO, Alexandre Pelletier-Normand, first time on Interest TV. Great to have you here, Alex.
Thank you for having me.
Before we go into the questions, could you give us a little introduction about yourself?
Absolutely. So I'm Alex. I'm Canadian. I come from Montreal, which is a big city as well for video games. I actually started doing video games back in 2003. I have a technical background. So initially I was a programmer. And as the industry started, the mobile gaming industry started, it really kind of exploded. And I was asked to go in different countries, different studios around the world to create entities and to recruit developers and things like that. So I lived in 6 different countries around the world. At some point, I moved to France. I was EVP in charge of games at Gameloft. And back in 2018, started discussing with Rovio, and I decided to move with the family in Finland at the beginning of 2019, again, as head of games there. So it really allowed me in the past 2 years to understand Rovio very well, understand everybody here, what were the strengths of the company, and being part as well of, elaborating the strategy. And the board of directors asked me to step in as CEO at the beginning of the year 2021.
All right. Rovio reported its Q4 results a couple of weeks ago. So how would you describe Rovio's year 2020 with your own words?
Yeah, so the year 2020 was a good one for Rovio. I mean, it was a special year, right, for everybody around the world. And so Rovion started working from home even during early March. And they really managed to, execute on the strategy. We continued, releasing games in soft launch and improving them as well during the year. So, great work there by the year. And I think when we think about our industry, what you need to look at is how your live games are performing and how you manage to release new games. Those are like the 2 key elements that you need to do well. So when I look at the year 2020, the biggest games that we have, which is Angry Birds 2, perform pretty good. We actually improved the game in the last 3 quarters of the year. It grew year over year, so that's really good. We included in Q4 an important feature that we call the Arena 2.0. So that's a special feature that is especially targeted at the most engaged players that we have in the game, and it gave good results in Q4, but it's also a platform for which we can continue to grow for the year 2021. So it puts us in a good position for that game in 2021. And then our second biggest game, it's called Angry Birds Dream Blast. It performed well as well during the year 2020, was very profitable because we had a lower marketing investment on this title compared to the previous year. So we continue maintaining it, updating it, making it more accessible even than it is now. And we're also in a good position in 2021. And finally, I will mention the third game, and I think that's pretty impressive. We have a game that is called Angry Birds Friends. This game already has a decade almost. Next year, we're going to celebrate the 10th year anniversary, and it grew significantly during the year 2020, and we're in good shape as well to continue growing it during the year 2021. So that's for our live games portfolio. When we talk about the second element, which is to release new games, during the year, we released a game that is called Small Town Murders. So it's a match 3 game with narrative elements. So that's something that is new for us, and it's exciting because it opens new doors about things that we can do to help on player retentions and things like that. So we're very excited about that game. We grew it to reach 50 million run rate at the end of the year. And so that's the only game that we released in 2020, but we also built a very solid pipeline to continue releasing games now in 2021 and 2022. So I could also discuss about the roster of studio, because that's an interesting development that happened during the year 2020. We started the year with 3 studio, we ended with 5. right? So one of the studio that we open is in Montreal. Those guys are working on future-looking initiatives, what we call, future of gaming. They look at the trends that we see in the market and build products that are very relevant to those trends. But we also acquired a studio that is called Darkfire Games, and based in Copenhagen, and they are working now on releasing a game, Darkfire Heroes, that is scheduled to hit global launch in April of this year. So very, very interesting year. A lot of things happened on our side.
Yeah. Rovio's gaming revenue has been quite stable since 2017, but in your strategy, you're aiming for growth. So could you elaborate what are like the key growth drivers in the coming years?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. We have different growth drivers that we focus on to enable growth. So, the first one, it won't come as a surprise. So this idea of continue to releasing game, but increasingly better game. And the way we approach this driver is really what we call the genre mastery, right? So our studios are very focused and specialized on one specific genre, for instance. So each time that they release a new game, it's getting better and better each time, right? So when we think about Angry Birds Dream Blast or Small Town Murders that are issued from our puzzle studio, it's really a good example of that. So we want to continue doing that. We want to continue growing our live games, as I've mentioned that we've done in the year 2020, but also as a third pillar, we want to be present on other parts of the market as well. So expanding to new genre. We're exploring internally RPG games and strategy games, but this is also, since we want to, this idea of genre mastery is so important to us, it can also happen through M&As, merger and acquisitions, right? So finding companies for which there's a very strong cultural fit that share our vision of wanting to be the best in the world in a specific genre, and where we see synergetic growth possibility is definitely another angle that we're looking at things. And Darkfire Heroes was a good example of this. And then finally, there's that's for short-term and mid-term growth. And when we look at long-term growth, then this studio that we have in Montreal looking at future of gaming initiative is particularly important.
So everybody knows that mobile gaming market is highly competitive. So what does it take to succeed in a market like this?
Well, you're very right. That's very competitive, but I think we're in a good place. We've been there for a while, right? And we know how this market works. And we do have the Angry Birds game, the Angry Birds brand. The brand is known by over 90% of the world population. And that's really important because each time that we're releasing an Angry Birds game, especially one that is very similar or share the same pillars as the initial Angry Birds games, we get a lot of organic traffic. And that means that is downloads that we would have to pay for if we didn't have the Angry Birds IP. So we have it, it's very strong. So that's something that we want to continue to build on and also nurture the brand for the future. And we also have a proven track record of operating games as a service, as I mentioned, for Angry Birds Friends, Angry Birds Dream Blast, Angry Birds 2, and that's absolutely key to succeed on the market. I think another element that we're very sensitive to is this idea of knowing very well the players, having a particular attention that is given to marketing, community management, getting feedback from users, integrating those feedbacks in our games. So that's a key element that we do pretty well as well.
Rovio does not have numerical guidance for 2021. Could you still describe your outlook and focus areas for this year?
Yeah, that's a good question. Indeed, the reason why we did the outlook this way is that there's a lot of moving pieces for the year 2021. One of them that I could mention is the privacy policy to be introduced by Apple. So we think that we're in a good position to tackle this because of the wide appeal that our games have, and of course because of the Angry Birds brand that is strong and also has a wide appeal. So in a market where it will be harder to do very precise targeting in marketing campaign, we will be in a good position. And also, I've mentioned that we have a game that is about to release, right? That will release in April with Darkfire Heroes, and this brings some uncertainties in terms of how much we can scale it. So if the game has been in soft launch for a while, so we know that it's in good position to reach global launch. Now, how much are we going to be able to scale it really depends. And the only way to know that precisely is to release it and try to scale it. So that's why we did the outlook this way. Now, when it comes to the focused area for us during the year, so we want to continue using the Angry Birds brand further. So that doesn't mean that the only game that we will do will be Angry Birds. We will do new IPs and Angry Birds games as well. But of course, we want to continue building on this asset. So we are prepared for the changes coming from Apple's privacy policy. So that's going to be a focus area for the year, definitely. We will monitor closely what's happening there. We continue investing on our Future of Gaming initiative. The studio that we started in Montreal during the year 2020 will be quite busy this year. We also continue to look for merger and acquisitions, especially those teams that have potential for great synergies with Rovio's are our focus for this aspect of a strategy. Obviously, we continue following our great games that we have in development.
Thank you, Alex, for the interview, and I wish you the best of luck for the upcoming game launch.
Thank you very much.